Hi, welcome to our reading course. I'm Mary Ann. In this week's lesson 1, we learned about you, the reader. We learned about memory. The most important thing we learned about memory is that we can't just read words and hope that they're going to stick up there. We have to make an effort to give our brain information so that it can be both stored and retrieved at a later date. The second important thing that we talked about was multiple intelligences. We learned that everybody learns differently. What works for one person might not necessarily work for another. And we also learned that we have to understand ourselves as a reader if we want to get the most out of our learning. For this week's assignment, there are going to be 2 parts. First, at the very top of your lesson, there's a link for the syllabus acknowledgement. Click on that, follow the directions, and submit that to me. Your lesson will not open if that is not complete. The second part of your assignment, there will be 3 questions. Each question must be answered in a complete paragraph. Question number 1. You are going to be taking a multiple intelligence test at the very end, kind of toward the end of your lesson. After you take this multiple intelligence assessment, what did you learn about yourself as a reader and a learner? How do you learn? Were you surprised at what you found out? Why were you surprised? Why weren't you surprised? Second, based on what you learned about yourself as a reader, how can you store information in your memory? For example, when I took the test, I found out that I was an interpersonal learner. So if I were doing this question, I want to go back into my lesson and find out, what did it tell me about an interpersonal learner? How do interpersonal learners learn? What can they do to store that information in their memory? What I, as an interpersonal learner, will do might be totally different from what a naturalistic learner does, a musical learner, a intrapersonal learner. What can I do based on my intelligence to help me store information in my memory? I might even want to go and do a Google search if I don't think there's enough information. I want to find out more about myself. Question number 3. Now that I understand how I learn, how I can put this information, what I need to do to put this information in my memory, what is a study plan that I can come up with? Based on what I've learned about myself, what can I do that will help me study? If I had a roommate, my roommate if they have a different multiple intelligence, their study plan could be totally different than mine. What kind of study plan can I make up based on what I learned? Okay, finally, at the very end of the lesson, you're going to see a scoring tool that I use to grade your papers. If you look at the scoring tool and you meet all the criteria, you should get the full amount of points. So let's look at what's at the end of this week's lesson. Here's the rubric, and it tells you your grading criteria, what I'm grading on. The first thing, I'm looking to see if it's complete. Did you answer all 3 questions? Did you answer everything that the question asked for? Did you have 3 paragraphs, 1 for each question? And was it about 350 words? I'm not going to sit here and count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, count 350 words, but I need it to be in the ballpark. Second, application. Can I look and find information from the lesson that you applied to your response? Did you apply what you learned to your response? That is worth 20 points. And finally, convention. Is your response clear? If I have to read it 4 or 5 times, no, it's not clear. I should read it once, maybe twice, and I understand exactly what you're talking about. You have few grammar and few spelling mistakes. If you meet all 3 of these criteria, you will have 50 points. So keep this in front of you. This is what I use to grade your papers. You need to look at that. So this kind of ends my explanation for the assignment this week. If you have any questions, please send me a text, send me an email. I will be more than happy to get back to you right away. I can send extra information, and hopefully I can answer your questions. Thank you very much.